What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about EA and $80 games. And honestly, something that you might not expect from those two together is that that's not going to happen, at least not yet. Now, I want to read the exact quote because I feel like, definitely the quote and the news story is that they're not doing it, right? They're not doing the $80, at least not right now. And that's where you'd want to go a little bit further and say, okay, like, is it something that you could eventually do? I know there's a lot of jokes being made. One that, you would never really have expected such harmony between not going to $80 and EA, who is probably one of, if not the worst ones out there. And then for all of the praises that EA is getting for this story, you also see the reverse of it saying, well, that's because they're going to charge $80 of microtransactions, or that's because they're going to raise it to $90 or $100. Like, EA will find a way, right? As we all know, I think it's probably best, and that's why I try to make these videos, right? We got to start bracing more and more for an $80, $90, $100 per game future. Not saying you have to accept it, just that it's going to start to happen, and you have to kind of decide like the part you play and all of that, right? Are you going to support it, not support it, whatever? So, the main storyline, as you see here, EA says they have no plans to start charging $80 for games. Now, the real quote, though, is they say, in terms of pricing power, our business is very different than what it was 10 years ago. In a world where everything we did 10 years ago was about selling shiny disc in plastic boxes and retail shelves, well, that's still a part of our business. It's a significantly smaller part of our business, and we now have pricing representing everything from free-to-play all the way to deluxe editions and beyond. At the end of the day, whether we're doing something that costs $1, we're doing something that costs 10 or 100, our objective is always to deliver incredible quality and exponential value for our player base. And what we've discovered over the course of time is when we can marry quality and value together, our business is strong, resilient, and continues to grow. From a guidance perspective, we have reflected no changes in our current pricing strategy at this point, added their CFO. So as you can see, they do say it and they're not doing it as of right now. There's a little bit more to it, though. I feel like they can easily amend that in the future and say, well, look, we go for quality, we go for results, and also, those quality and results, they now cost more money than they did 6 months ago when I said that last time, and now we have to raise the price. Generally, that's really what everybody's doing, right? Because that is still corporate talk. Now, that comes from their CEO, right, Andrew Wilson, who is, I don't know, he says some incredible things, and you could debate, and talk amongst yourselves if I really mean that in a positive or negative way. Everybody says that. When Microsoft raises prices, when Nintendo raises prices, they're raising it because they want to continue delivering that high quality, experience that everybody's so used to, and that stuff just costs more money nowadays. It's the same lingo no matter what. I will say, okay, to be fair, but also, a little bit still kind of bashing at times, he is right. That main quote about you have to kind of base it off the quality and all that stuff, that actually is exactly it. The issue is I don't think they actually do that. I feel like that's the lie. Sometimes it does come together, and I feel like it's highly successful. People were saying, I saw this tweet a few days ago, where it's you think about some of the biggest and best games so far of 2025, right? And you have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and that's a little bit more on the pricier side, but it's not 80, right? You have that Split Fiction, which is a great one because that's EA, and that really, I think, makes his point, right? High quality, and you know what? It's $40. That's really not bad at all. That's actually incredible value. That's without a sale, right? So, you have Split Fiction, you have Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Oblivion, all of really those three games. Kingdom Come is more, but the rest of them all fall in $50 or less, your $50 or less range. Those are some of the best games. In fact, those three, Split Fiction, Expedition 33, Oblivion, those are probably three of the top 5 easily games of the year. I mean, you can maybe make arguments. Everybody's going to have their own personal thing. Actually, for me, now I haven't played Oblivion yet, but Oblivion, originally is a phenomenal game. Split Fiction and Expedition 33 are probably my number 1 and 2. And I kind of go back and forth on which order I would put them in. Those are my 2 favorite games. Those are both games that are $40 and $50. So it does, like, what he says is true. Like, it should be represented in the quality. And if you do make a game that strikes people as incredibly high quality and it just so happens to cost more, people are willing to kind of go with you. Now, the bashing part to this, right, is of course remembering that it's EA. The funny thing is, up until this point, they have failed so often at doing that with so many other things, right? You look at Battlefield for a good stretch of time in this last little era, right? That's not quality for your money. You look at, actually, let's look at the number one freaking thing, right? How about your sports franchise, right? These are games that cost full price every year. Then you rely on the microtransactions, and you are not delivering quality, my friends, right? You are delivering the exact same freaking thing. And I know I played NHL for 10 years straight and would buy it year after. I mean, do the math. That's $600 year after year after year. And for a period of time, those games were extremely good. And then that just doing it every year, really, I think freaking killed it. But regardless, right? How about those? How about the sports franchises? Madden has arguably been going backwards for 10 years, and FIFA has been going backwards maybe 5 or 6. That is not what he said, right? I do believe like that is the secret sauce. And I feel like everybody would say that, but then who actually implements it, right? Very, very few. So, you know, it's good that they're not going to 80, because I swear to God, if you charge $80 for Madden 27, I think you got a riot on your hands. And it would just be hilarious. It would actually be very, very funny. But also at the same time, like, incredibly infuriating, because also people would still do it, and they would still do the Ultimate Teams, by the way, right? But, you know, so good on them for not going to 80. They'll still find a way, you know, to insert ads into your NBA title or whatever the F these people. I think that's 2K, but they all do it. Okay, there's a lot of slimy behavior, let's say, to put it lightly, that these companies will do. So good on them, but I'm sure they'll find a way to get $80 from you some other way. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.